How you doing? Good. Perfect. That's fantastic. Are you perhaps in need of a story? Well, have I got a story for you. This fantastic story begins with a lovely princess. Now, this gorgeous princess is called Daisy. She was born with her parents being king and queen of a great land called Midland Walmeret. So, guess what that makes Daisy? A princess, right? Well, technically, yes, but in a whole, no. When Daisy was brought into this world, she was different. Well, looks-wise. She had huge, feathery, white, gorgeous Pegasus wings and a horn on top of her head. Strange, right? Well, in this land, there are sirens, to werewolves, to phoenixes, to dragons, unicorns, whatever creature you can think of. Well, during this time, they preferred to have a representative of some sort and a leader, aka somewhat of a queen. So when a strange girl is born non-human, then they kind of knew they were the one. As Daisy grew up, she was mocked and scorned by the village people, her own parents' kingdom's people, which surprisingly, no one was beheaded, which I guess the king and queen were pretty nice. So, yeah. Well, anyway, many times due to this, she would run off to her own little castle that she inherited when she was born by the own creatures of the world. And she would run through the woods with elves or whatever creature wanted to join her. This was more of a safe haven for all the creatures and herself. The subjects of her own kingdom loved her dearly, and all was good. Or was it? However, before we get to the main dilemma of the story, we need a little backstory, then we will introduce a few characters and all that good stuff. So let me introduce you to Travis Alicorn Leon, Tall for short. Pretty funny, but that's just his name. He's the blood lineage of dragons, and that kind of explains how he looks, which it ain't bad. He stands 6.5 feet tall, which Daisy comes up to his chest, so she's about 5'7". He is fit, but not extremely chiseled or muscled. And she's got some muscles, but we're not talking like, oh my gosh, it's a bodybuilder kind of muscles, you know? Not like that. Anyway, he has sharp features and gorgeous, slicked back black hair. Try saying that 5 times fast. Yeah, I'm not going to try because I will fail. Some more of the unique features Travis tends to have are silver eyes. We're not talking like blind eyes, we're talking like moon silver eyes. They're absolutely stunning and gorgeous. They're followed by one pair of somewhat sharper pointed ears. Oh, and did I fail to mention heckin' dragon wings? I mean, come on, any caboodle. Travis has a younger brother named Sullivan Mike Leon. The only difference is that he has shiny brown hair and it's spiked. He's married to a reptilian woman and has 2 incredibly cute reptilian children. He is the youngest by 3 years. So I bring this up because it brings us to their backstory and eventually the story I'm about to tell. So Travis and Sullivan had a very sweet mother. And when I say sweet, we are talking McDonald's sweet tea kind of sweet. Anyway, her name was Olivia Leon. She had brown hair and was average height. The boys were extremely close to her. For the father, aka Malloran Terrari, however, yeah, not good. That's why the boys took their mother's last name. Alan was extremely and overall bad guy. This is evil. He was just so abusive to them. And in that abuse, it ended up causing 3 permanent scars all the way along Travis's back and 3 permanent scars on Sullivan's right eye, rendering him blind permanently. Pretty sad, I know. He has ragged red and black clothing, and it's not because he's old and stuff, but it's basically to show how unruly and undone he is. It really shows that the character is a plain mess. And you're probably asking, why in the world would a saint of a woman marry this piece of rubbish? Well, you don't ask no more, because I'm about to explain it to you. So basically, he had killed her entire family and kidnapped her just because. Yeah, I get mad just listening to my own story too. So back on track. When Travis was 10 and Sullivan was 7, sadly, their mother got ill and passed away. This angered their dad even more, and he got more abusive. Well, this leads to where our princess meets our amazing, handsome dragon. Travis would run off into the forest with his little brother and try to retreat to the dragons, where the caves and the forest would be, aka Daisy's kingdom. Now, for ruling dragons and creatures in general, no one technically rules them except, God himself, because he rules over creatures. Yeah, I just brought him into this. But anyway, they just felt peace in their kingdom and allowed for Daisy to counsel more or less with them. So technically people called her queen, and they all did as well, but it was more of a friendship and a bond between them. So one day, after Travis and Sullivan were beaten once more by their awful dad, they ran into the woods once more, and unbeknownst to rule there, Sullivan would usually stay by the kits, aka the baby dragons, and Travis would go around the forest and do as he pleases. So here comes along Daisy, and she ends up seeing Travis. So where Daisy and Travis end up seeing each other in the forest, it's kind of a clearing, just a random clearing, and it's quite gorgeous, frankly. Well, Travis, until the age of, I guess what I would say 15, couldn't quite control his powers yet. So he kind of couldn't hide the way he truly looked. Which I'm not saying it's bad. He had black, shiny, dragon-like scales all along his body and claws for days. And a tail. Quite amazing. But Daisy, although she was young, she learned compassion and knowing that creatures are different. She grew up with creatures that would most likely frighten a lot of people. So she tries and eventually coaxes Travis to come and step into the clearing where light is shown so that she may see him. Well, one thing leads to another, and once Travis sees that she's no threat, they become friends and they start growing close. When Travis turns 18, Daisy introduces him to her father, aka the king, and he's kind of really powerful at this time. So the king sees natural talent, and one thing leads to another, and before you know it, he becomes one of the most powerful sultans known in the land. Now, we're not talking about sultan like rich and powerful ruler, but we are talking more of nerdy pants, super strong kind of type, which the king will seek out in times of major trouble towards his kingdom or allied kingdoms as well. And that's pretty much what he does. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite a bit. So this finally brings us to our main dilemma. So while everybody's getting on with their happy lives, Travis and Daisy are going closer than ever. Well, guess what? Mr. Alicorn decides he's gonna pop in for a family visit just to check on his son. Now, does he do that? Oh yeah. He decides, hey, I'm gonna declare war on one of the most powerful kingdoms, aka, guess what? The king and queen's kingdom. So, Daisy's parents. Yeah, not good. When Daisy finds out, she runs to Travis and tells him he's very big angry boy. He not happy. But guess who's not even happier? Oh, I don't know, Daisy. It's her actual parents. So she ends up taking attention off them by threatening Alicorn and telling him he needs to back the heck off. Well, that brings attention to her and her kingdom. So Daisy is threatened now by Alicorn, which dumb for Alicorn because he doesn't know how powerful her kingdom is. However, she does not want bloodshed, so while she tries to buy time, she tries to send threats and just a whole bunch of things trying to block and save time by preventing Alicorn from attacking her kingdom or anybody else's. During this time, Travis is by her side and they grow closer, eventually showing feelings for each other and coming clean about how they feel towards each other, since they practically know everything about each other. So yeah. So after the big ooh-woo moments and the whole romantic stuff is over, blah blah blah, Alicorn somehow finds out that his son has fallen for Daisy. So, because I don't know why, he's just messed up, Alicorn decides, hey, I'm gonna kidnap one of the most powerful people in the land, aka Daisy. Yeah. Luckily for Alicorn, the evil guy, he is not a total dingus. So he goes on and he tries to find out a little bit more about his enemy. He kind of scopes the place out. Ninja style. Anyway, so after seeing how powerful Daisy is, he ends up getting some of the strongest materials and metals and whatever can possibly stop Daisy, melts it all together, and makes chains and net. Yeah. It was quite a bit of work. So after all the preparations are made for Alicorn and he gets himself together, he finally draws Daisy out and targets her when she's alone. Well, one thing leads to another, this huge battle scene starts going on. We're talking crazy power. Well, by the time Daisy's worn out, and that basically means Alicorn is almost dead, he uses his last strength to throw the net over Daisy and bind her with the chains and eventually kidnap her. Luckily for Daisy, Sullivan ends up seeing this happen and he runs to Travis and tells Travis everything he saw about how he saw their dad beating up Daisy and somehow was able to kidnap her. Well, your boy mad. He's angry, he's livid. He turns into this absolute beast and it's amazing. He turns rabid. Anyway, he flies as fast as he can. It's incredible. And he flies to this castle that's just almost rubble. It's so old. And it's on the side of a volcano. I don't know if the HOA was good or the realtor was bad, but that's a dumb idea for a lair. I'm just saying. Anyway, so he bursts in and he sees his dad on this rickety throne acting like, oh, he's so powerful. He loses it. He grabs his dad and beats the bejeebers out of him, almost killing him. And there's this huge fight scene and all over again, and it's insane. It's mind-blowing. There's family drama addressed and everything. So basically, after he's done humbling his dad, he looks for Daisy. And he eventually finds Daisy, where she's been beaten up so much more and just absolutely tortured. And she's down in a basement dungeon. When he sees this, when Travis sees this, he's absolutely heartbroken. He grabs her and he flies as fast as he can. He's already drenched in sweat. He's tired, but he truly cares for Daisy, and so he goes on and ends up flying her all the way back to her castle, where she's hopefully saved just in the nick of time. Because let me say something, she's practically on the brink of death. So long story short, Daisy is now in this coma for 2 days, and they don't know if she's gonna make it. Travis has been by her bedside, you know, just watching her, protecting her, and, you know, this has been since he's had that big fight. He's tired and hungry, but he hasn't eaten, sleeping, drunken, anything. I don't know how he did it, but he did. He's amazing. Well, finally after, like I said, 2 days, she wakes up and he's just ecstatic and filled with joy and embraces her and just hugs her, and he's so happy. And then after a while, he's so excited that he proposes to her. Almost like if you've seen Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, kind of towards the end of the movie. It's funny. Eventually they get married, and more stories are to come after that, but that's for another time. Thank you so much for listening to my annoying voice and my story. I don't care if you liked it or if you didn't, because it's my story and I absolutely love it. And that's how you should feel about your own story. It's your story. So, thanks for watching. Bye.